Good evening, everyone. I'm happy to welcome us all. This is our OPA team. And for those of you, any of you who don't know OPA, it's so interesting. I had the good fortune of living in Southern California when I was first introduced to Shackley, and I was taken to the home of Mary and Gary Loomis, who were the people that were kind of mentoring and supplying me as I was a hugely resistant, arrogant, I don't need any of that stuff. Um, there's no difference between natural and synthetic. Why would anybody do that stuff? And of course, they generously and graciously walked me through those great resistances and said, well, why don't you just try the stuff? And so, yes, lo and behold, the stuff does in fact work. And OPA, the initials OPA, came from the initial stand for Organic Products Associates. And that came from the vision that our mentors for all of us, Mary and Gary Loomis, had at that time. And this was back in the early 1970s, when they could see that the scale of the business that they would create would exceed people's connection with the name of Loomis. And so they created a vision that said, we're going to be Organic Products Associates. And so we represent, last time I heard, some 10 master coordinatorships that obviously scan all the way from Hawaii through North America. And so we are all part of cousins of the Organic Products Associates family. So that's who we are. And I see some of our other leaders here. I'd like to start out tonight and say that I have enormous particular gratitude and admiration for one of the teams that you all will have spent some time with today, and that is with Alan and Hannah Sherapin. We have had the good honor of being elected to be supported of the field leadership team on what's called the Masters Executive Committee. And so for 2 years, we have served together as the representatives of the field with the corporation. So I've had a chance to spend time with Alan and also with Hannah on a team of 6 of us. And we've been through the battles, wars, smiles, cheers, throwing feathers, blowing bubbles, being happy, and all of the rest of this, all in our varying stages of 2 years together. And so I would like to, first of all, acknowledge Alan, whose term has been not just the 2 years which we have served together, but the 2 years before that, where he served not only as chairperson of the Masters Executive Committee, but then served as the ex officio. So this is my special acknowledgement for Alan, and along with him, Hannah. And together we're going to do some things here tonight. But I just want to say special thank you to you, Alan, as a wonderful cousin in the business and leaders that I've always admired and respected, and we all kind of grew up together. And so thank you all for being part of things. So
Carolyn, well, Carolyn,
yeah.
thank you. Thank you very much for that over the top summary of us. Just awesome. We really appreciate that. And I don't need to tell everybody here on the call that that also applies in direct proportion to Carolyn. I mean, she's been a Shackley stalwart for years, presidential lifetime master coordinator. Wow. And
And
she was trained by the originator of the OPA organization, Mary and Gary Loomis. So,
yeah,
Carolyn, congratulations for carrying the torch.
And I can
thank you.
remember we were just getting started, and Mary had us do a little cameo at the very first conference. And Carolyn came over to us afterwards and befriended us, and we've always appreciated that.
Well, it was Estelle Elhide wasn't she, weren't they part of the original team when you guys were in LA. You were part of the same branch, but I remember
Correct.
that was part of how we all met each other. So
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Well, so anyway, that's thank you very much. That's our personal time. What I'd like to do is we're going to do some bits and pieces tonight, as though we were. Let's make this a town hall because we've got several topics we'd like to do. I'd like to first of all start out with a conversation that I think is important for all of us. And that is that no matter where you are in the business and how long you've been around and how much traffic has gone into your head about how you should do things and what is the name of our profession? Are we network marketing? Are we MLM? Are we social media? Are we community selling? Are we, I don't know, whatever those names are, whatever those different confusing terms are. What I would like to say to us is that I believe that we are in a time in history where what we do is so significantly important. And it is not just because of the message we carry, because the message we carry, of course, has to do with wellness and health. And I'll share with you a couple of ideas about that. But what it also has to do is if you have not been looking, the whole world of artificial intelligence is going to turn this planet completely around in terms of the ways that businesses are going, whether we like it or not. And I'm not projecting that. I'm just simply saying that there are some facts we all get to hear. And here's what's important about that. Artificial intelligence can give us messages that look so real that we have no idea whether they're real or not. So the ability to have communications, we're not going to be sure what we can trust, what we hear, whether it's real, whether it isn't real. And the bottom line of that is, what is the one thing that cannot be taken away? And that one thing that cannot be taken away is the one-to-one personal communication. So when it all boils down to is the personal relationships that we develop, our credibility, how we communicate, whether we are communicating with integrity, whether we can develop relationships with people, that to me, I believe is going to be the most important quality that we have. And so if we're looking at, well, gee, maybe this business isn't going to be so valuable, I say that this is like almost full circle of the wisdom of Dr. Shackley, that this is one person to another person to another person. And yes, there will be social media and all kinds of other things, but the bottom line is it's going to be the eyeball to eyeball conversation that we have with people that perhaps we sit down and have coffee with, perhaps we meet over communications like this, but we would develop our personal credibility. And so that's just like a celebration for all of us, I think. And hopefully it's a reminder and a reinforcement for us on how important and valuable is not only the message that we carry, but the way that we carry it, which represents all of us here. Alan, Hannah, any comments or thoughts on that?
Well, my initial comment is the future is here. Let's jump on it and run with it because it's going to be fantastic. With all the people that are coming into Shackley now, this is going to help project Shackley to over $1 billion company. And won't that be an awesome thing for our 70th year anniversary celebration next year? So what that means to all of you, we want to be sure to start planning now to attend next year's 70th anniversary conference. Wow, this is going to be awesome this year. Next year it'll be in spades. I mean, wow.
Yeah. Well, thanks. Any other comments from any of you, Barb and Ray, thoughts about this with just kind of what's going on in the world in terms of communications?
Well, if you're not involved in AI, you need to, take the time to pick something online where it's going to help you learn at least a little bit about it. Because again, it's here.
Yep, yep. And just as for any of us who grew up before there were cell phones, and now the person that you want to get to help with his cell phone is not the teenager in your family, but the 5 year old, because they're the ones that grow up with them. So all of these transitions are happening that we're going to get to either take part in. But the bottom line is our personal in one-to-one communication is really what's going to be the bottom line.
Yeah, Carolyn, I guess my initial reaction to what you said is so true, is that it's the personal communications with people. Our products need an explanation. It isn't, Dr. Shackley said, see the people. And that was because we need to work with the people on their health. We need to explain how our products work. They can't be put in a store where people go by and pick them up, and it just doesn't work that way. That's why it's network marketing is what we're involved in, and we do a lot of work with our people day in and day out. Whether we're explaining about the products, we're explaining about the business, but it's that personal contact and that trust we build with people is what makes our business really go and is strong. So that's my initial reaction to what you said. I agree completely. It is personal communication, personal, person to person type communication that we have to have.
I agree. And I think that AI, fine, write it yourself and then let it perfect maybe what you're writing. But nothing's going to ever surpass that eyeball to eyeball, that personal touch where people really feel a connection with you. Very, very hard to make something generic and have people connect with you.
Yeah,
Hi, Sarah. Can I add something to this?
you bet, Sarah. Absolutely.
Hi, thank you, Carolyn. I look at AI, ChatGPT, as my personal secretary. I'm not a writer, and so as long as I put my thoughts of what talks to me, how I would say it, and just send a message to ChatGPT that please fine tune it for me, it comes out amazing. So I look at it as my personal secretary. And secondly, one thing that I am learning, because I'm part of attraction marketing, and I've not become the millionaire yet with attraction marketing, and I've not gotten too many customers yet. But one thing, and you're right, Carolyn, that we have to talk to people, connect to people, be there for them, learn about them. But I think because Shackley has so many products, and we've had so many products for so many years, which is a great thing, is that I think that what I'm learning and taking away from attraction marketing is to focus on a specific niche for ourselves. Because if we focus on a specific target market or a niche, we can find those people. Those people are going to get attracted to us. That's going to be our language. That's going to be and it's going to be easier to connect to those people. So this is just a little, it's kind of hard to say that we can do what we did years ago and market Shackley with the overwhelming amount of products that we have. That does it make sense what I just said? Does it
Absolutely.
I found that works very well for me. All my presentations, my information, I'm getting responses for that because I'm very focused on my target market.
That's great. Thanks, Sarah.
You're welcome.
Well, I thought I would share with you, I got to do screen share, sorry. Hold on. I thought I would share with you something that has clarified for me that the importance, can you see this?
Yes.
I think when I have to say to myself, why am I doing what I'm doing, or what is it that we do? My particular mission, and you can use this any way you choose to, is really focused on three different things. The first thing is I say the world needs us now more than ever. And you can take your target market in that, whether it is the health of kids, whether it is the number of adults who are not living with the kind of vitality that they want, whatever kinds of issues there are, the world needs us to be able to provide some alternatives and some choices. And so while it might be convenient to say, well, I'm just going to lay back and kind of do nothing, this is where it's our challenge to develop those personal relationships, expand our ability to communicate, and to get clear about what we're doing. So this one is number one for me, is really to be of service to humanity. We've been given the gift of Shaklee. We've been given the results that we have, and I believe it's up to us to let people know. The second thing is that what I'm clear about is that we offer answers that people can trust, because people out there generally have two things going on. They're busy, they're very busy, and they're probably smart if they're talking to us, but they don't know where to go. They can go online, you can walk through the shelves of whatever store it is, you can go crazy listening to the labeling, stuff comes across the screen and you don't know what to believe. But what we have to offer, number two, is answers that people can trust. And how do we prove that? Well, I say the two things that they're looking for is they want products that are safe and they want products that are proven. So how do we prove that? Well, it's pretty simple. 152 Olympic medals, NASA astronauts that have, used the products, everything with the landmark study, all the things at the beginning of the product guide page. But these are the reasons, plus the decades of experience that many of us have or can tell the stories of people that have been benefiting from and using these products. So those people that are out there that have needs, that are busy, that are smart, but they don't know what to do, we can offer to them answers that we can trust, that are products that are proven and products that are safe. And the third thing we can do is what we know is that people are open to or looking for ways that they can pick up a little extra cash. And that's what we call the wellness for the wallet. And that's where we can offer people, once they like and appreciate what it is we have, we can offer them opportunities for extra income and tax benefits, getting their own products for free, building an outdoor income, and so on. And so those are some of the things that I think are helpful for me. Those are my three purposes. Now, I suggest that each of us get good about figuring out what your purposes are so that you can be comfortable and communicate them. But that's for me. So Anna, Helen, Anna and Helen, look at that. Anna now.
Yeah.
Anything to add on that? And then I want to talk about where we are as we begin the month of June with all the new things that are coming up. Anything to add to that? Ellen, Hannah?
One of the things that comes to mind, your sheet is beautiful, and of course we agree with everything you have put on there, and know that your personal philosophy, where you stand. I think it's real important that we remember to keep people aware of the Shaklee philosophy, especially in all this new time with all these new people coming on board. I mean, they haven't had our years to develop the culture and understand the philosophy and integrity of this company. So I think if there's one thing that we do more than anything, those of us going to conference and we meet these other people, let's make sure that we can communicate some of that, the importance of putting can't get the word out right, making sure that we continue to let people know about the philosophy. And the other thing is that since now there's more of an emphasis on getting people on products first and then getting to the business, then it also is a great thing for us to be able to increase our volume by making sure we do what we used to do, and that is Shakleeizing our homes and getting other people to Shakleeize. If you look at your rules, how many people are into all three product lines? I think it's probably less than desirable. And just by getting them and realizing the value of taking advantage of changing brands and using all of our product lines, their healthier home, their healthier environment, their being able to save money on the household products, having a non-toxic home, all of the things we've talked about over the years. I think that's a real important thing for us to make sure we're addressing that with everyone we have, old members and distributors and new and current ones.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, Hannah. Thanks.
And Carolyn,
Yeah.
to go along with what Hannah was saying too, is one of the people at the home office reached out to Barb and I and asked if we would host a table for lunch with new people. So I don't know how many that there will be. It's a 45-minute lunch. I think it's on Tuesday. And we're going to tell our story. We're going to talk about Dr. Shackley. We're going to talk about our culture. We're going to talk about the golden rule. We're going to talk about relationships that we have with people and why that's important, and then answer any questions that might have. And Barb and I are looking forward to that. I think that's going to be. I'm glad they're doing that, because we've talked as an MAB, as a master's a group, that we need to know these people a little bit better, the new people that are coming in, and this is one way of doing that. I don't know how many tables that they'll have like that, but Barb and I are looking forward to meeting some of the new people that are coming into Shackley and sharing our story, our experience, and the culture of Shackley and why it's important.
Yep.
And you know,
Yep.
a lot of the people who were in Punta Cana report that how much they really want to learn from all of us. They
Mhm.
know they don't know what we know about nutrition, for instance, and they want to really learn that. So that's encouraging. And so the more we can share, I think we'll all better uh, be going in the future
Well,
to
not only that, but if you think about it, the uplines that they've been given, for the most part, are corporate. And there's basically nobody at corporate that's been around for 5 years or more. So if that's their uplines, without the connection with all of us who have so much more heritage and experience, and the really grounded part of being part of the philosophy. One of the things that Alan and I have said through serving for 2 years on the Masters Executive Committee is that there's not a single one of us that are in the same business organization. And it absolutely makes no difference to us. We see ourselves as all being part of the big Shackley family, and we're different branches, but there's none of this, well, I can't talk to you because you're not in my group. And we've spent 2 years intimately involved in what we're hopefully doing on behalf of the whole company. So anyway, thank you for that. So what I'd like to do is move on and ask Alan, if you and Hannah, I'd like to just take some bullet points of us to be alert to, because June 1, a lot of things changed in terms of the comp plan. We're not going to go into details. And what I will tell you, the bottom line is that what I'm going to suggest to anyone is, if you are looking at building, or someone in your group is looking at building, your first responsibility is to go talk to the active business leader in whose group you are, because there are always going to be some little nuances and variations of the way they want to do things. So if you choose to simply take what has been given to you by, this is the way you do it according to the company, that may not necessarily be the best guidance that your business leader will give you. So I encourage you to be in touch with whoever brought you in the business and take that kind of intimate time so that you can most effectively take advantage of that. So, Alan, you got some bullet points for people as they go into the new plan?
Well, one big bullet point we feel is that when you are sponsoring people, it's going to be even more important now to sponsor them through yourself first level. You can have them, you be the original sponsor and a placement sponsor if you wish, that works. And the other thing is, if somebody wants to build a business, we're of the feeling that you want to sponsor them as a member. And then once they start really get rolling and show their seriousness by their activity and the results, then you can always convert them over to an ambassador. There's several reasons for that. We won't go into them right now. But again, one of the key things we feel is for new person is they want to build a very strong consumer base. Why is that? Well, one of the key ways to earn money in the Shackley compensation plan is when you bring new people in, you get the 30 for 30, but after that, you can get up to 40% on their purchases based on the selling price. And you probably all have seen or heard about that table. You get 5%, 10%. Let me use exact percentages. 5, 20, 25, 30, 35, and 40. So how do you get 40%? Well, you have to do 10,000 volume. That may not happen overnight, but you can certainly go to achieve that. And remember, it's based on not PV, not the price, the distributor price or member price, but it's based on the selling price, which is usually the retail price or their member price. So you do 10,000 volume, and if you have 30 customers, then you'll qualify for that 40%. So that new person coming in, in their first month, they can have sponsored 5 or 10 people. And if they have 5 or 10 people and are doing it, let's say $1,000, that's a 20% bonus they're going to get. That's $200, boom, right off the bat as a bonus. So that's a really key thing for a new person in the Shackley compensation plan.
Thank you. Thanks, Alan. And that's just a real simple overview, but it's a good reminder that as we go into the new plan, this is important. I think one of the other pieces is that what you can say to someone is that they can begin earning money from the minute that they start. And that's an appealing factor for people. And that's where I think their responsibility to work with the person who is bringing them in or the leader in whose group you are wants to guide them so that they understand how to take best advantage of those benefits. So those are just a couple of real quick things. We don't want to go into any more, but the world that it's definitely a different set of strategies and some different things. And it's important to understand, and there are nuances. There are things that you have to figure out down the road that are not necessarily going to be the same. So make sure you take advantage of working with your own senior leader if you, depending on what your objectives are. So does that make sense? Are there like major questions or anything from there about that? Everybody's an expert. That sounds good.
They're all on top of it.
That sounds good. I'm glad that's true. Okay.
I think it's real important too that if you do have questions, don't feel like you're going to not sound like you don't know anything if you ask a question that you think you should really already know. Because many of us, I can't tell you among the masters how many of us go back to the books and try and figure out some of the Carolyn said about some of those nuances.
Yeah, we're using our notes. Not everything is fixed into our head yet. Some of it is, but we still rely on some notes.
Right.
Can I ask a question? I'm sorry. I'm curious. What do you think of this idea that if somebody wants to become a distributor on the new plan and we're not sure if they're going to work out or not, and we sign them up as a member and they start doing events and they're bringing in people, but maybe not on a grand mass yet, but something. Do you think it would be a good idea for us to compensate them for that before we actually turn them into a distributor and they get paid from the company?
I think those things are totally the guidelines that that's the reason for suggesting that you talk to your leader, because there are various things that can be done. And people are going to have different stories and different ways to do that. So I'm going to introduce you to one that is something that I had kind of overlooked. But let me do a screen share here and see if I can pull this up now. How many of you, this kind of helps to answer your question, Sarah. How many of you have used the concept of gifting? Have you used this actively? Well, here's
Yes.
something that you can do. And maybe this is like old hat to everybody, but if you were a business leader, and I just pulled up the first person in my alphabetical list. Can you see the screen now?
Yes.
So let's say that you want to give a gift. You got someone who has come in. They're maybe between being a member or ambassador. They're not sure. You're not sure how to pay them or what to pay them with. Or maybe there's someone that's been paid bonuses that you'd kind of like to give them a little something extra. Here's what your business leader can do. You can go into your team. So you go into go into your person and go into your team. And when you go into the team, you click over here on the left side. And let's say I want to give a gift to this person. I go up here to select action and I go send gift. Now, suppose I want to use this as an incentive for them to get back and buy again. Suppose this is something that I want to reward them for being a loyalty person for a while, but maybe not getting bonuses. Suppose I want to use this as a way to introduce them to a part of the product line that they may not have been using before. As a business leader, now you have to be a director to do this. You can go into that person's account. You pay no shipping. You pay your own price. And you get your own PV. But you can give this as a gift. So let's say I want to give a gift of, oh, I don't know, the new hydrate. I want to give some blood orange hydrate to them. I can put that in here, and there's an expiration date. Excuse me. There's an expiration date. So you can say, if you put an order in before the end of next month, change the date any way you want to, there'll be a gift in your account for you. Now, this price here, I believe, is the member price, but it may not be the same price that you pay. So you can put this into their account, and when you say yes, then you can go in and say, and write them a little note and tell them anything. Say, I wanted to give you incentive. I wanted to thank you. I thought you'd like to try this, whatever you want to do. You can write them a little note. You can send them the note right then. And then that goes into their account. And if you do this, even at the same time as perhaps you're putting an order in for someone, that order will show up on their that will show up as a gift from your business leader. And I think this is something we kind of forget. And there are lots of, my experience is, as I've used this, not, gigantically, but I've added a new product like that. And people go, I really like that. Let me put that on my next order. But it's also just a gift. It's a thank you. It's something you may not have tried. And that it's just something that we may not have done. And as we transition into the new comp plan, there may be some people for whom this is really a benefit. So let me stop and see if there are questions or if anybody's got any insights on that. If other people use this? Yes, Sarah's used it. Hannah, Alan. Have
One of
any
the
of
ways-
you not
I've
used?
also used it quite a bit.
Okay, great. And are those similar kinds of experiences? Is that a helpful reminder for us? You get,
One of the ways we use it, particularly with those people who aren't active on the internet, for example, our Amish group, is we'll gift them a product guide when a new product comes out.
that's
So,
another good thing. Mention that, will you? That as the new product guide comes out, tell them.
and the reason you don't want to mail it to them because it costs, if you mailed it to them, it'd probably cost you a fortune.
Mhm.
This way, you put it on the order, and all you do is pay the cost of the catalog.
Yep. So it goes in, and you can let them know it's a gift from you, but then they've got
Sure.
the newest one.
Yeah.
So that's a couple of those ideas. There are a couple more things that I thought we would add. How many of you have been taking advantage of Dr. Tonya Hardig's programs?
Yes.
Yes? Is there anybody who is not? All right, well, here's a suggestion. And the suggestion is that some of you may remember in our past, we've had some really wonderful guides for us in the business, starting with Dr. Whittam and Dr. Scala and Dr. Bruce Miller and various others, Dr. Linda Rodriguez, people that were either corporate or that were from the medical background who had a very strong Shackley background and belief in our philosophy, but they also came in with the credentials that most of us don't have, and that they were able to present the validation of not only why the products were important and how these meet needs for people, but also the fact that Shackley fits the needs. Well, I think we have that in a new one, and that's with Dr. Tonya Hardig. And I don't even have the exact link. What is it? I should have that in front of me, but if somebody needs it, reach out and we'll tell you. But here's what she's doing. What she's doing is once a month on generally the third Thursday, now it's the fourth Thursday, she will do an open webinar. And the last ones have had close to 1,000 people on them. So we're talking about broad reach. And the week before that, she will do something with business leaders that allow them to get committed to knowing who has come to their group and so on. I'm not going to go into that. I think if you got questions on that, get back to your leader or check with one of us. But here's my suggestion for this. We've talked about the value of being able to reach out into our community and into other markets. I'm making a commitment that's a 6-month commitment. And that 6-month commitment is to begin a reach out to all kinds of people that may have used products, may have not used products, people that I just have communication with. They really don't know anything about the business. But what I'm doing is I'm setting up about 3 or 4 different messages. And the first one is just a quick message. Is there anyone in your world, not you, but is there anyone in your world that would like to have connection with a functional medical doctor who is presenting at no cost on the topics of, and the next topic is going to be, why do I feel this way? And then next month, I think it's on cancer, but who'd like to be able to sit in and just have a chance to hear a perspective. There's no sales. You have an opportunity even to ask questions. And if this would be helpful for anyone in your world, would you like for me to send you an invitation? And that may be the very first of several things. And then what we can do is, as people respond, we can say, I've made a commitment as a business leader. I've made a commitment to purchase some tickets for this webinar, and I would be happy to make one of them available to you as my guest. If that's something you would like, get back to me. And I believe that if we do a good job with that over the next 6 months, and it's not going to happen instantly, but we begin to do this progressively. Hey, the topic for next month is, if this is something, is there anyone in your world that could use this? And all of us know people who might be able to lurk in the background and just listen. So that's one of the things that I wanted to bring up. And are there any other comments on that from any of you who's had experiences or anything you'd like to add? Sarah?
I can't add anything. I want to ask is how do I find out about her?
I'll have to get you. Does somebody have it in front of you closer than I do? I didn't have it. I don't have it right in front of me.
I think it's drtanyahartig.com. It's
think it may be.
TonyA and then HARTIG.
TIG?
TIG.
HARTIG.com.
HARTIG. Tanya Hartig, drtanyahartig.com.
HARD, not T.
No, it is T.
DIG.
No,
No, it
it's
is
T. It's T. TIG.
Been on a D in all her things, but that's okay.
What is she in Shackley?
Okay. Background that I understand is she's been using Shackley for like 20 years.
Right.
She's had an experience, I believe, earlier as a business leader. I believe one of her kids had some medical issues that were able to be addressed by the products. I think she's become very familiar with the whole product line. She's been involved in the holistic healthcare world for a while, and then made a decision to go back to medical school and get her MD as a functional medical doctor.
No, she's
So-
not a medical doctor, Karen.
No.
Carolyn.
No,
She's a functional medicine doctor. She's not an MD.
right.
She has an MD though, doesn't she?
No. Mm-mm.
There's
No,
no MD on there?
Nope.
no.
Well, okay, whatever. If I said it wrong, I'm sorry. Then thanks for cleaning it up. At any rate, the concept of functional medicine, my simple analogy of that is generally if we go to a physician, it's because I've got something with my sinuses or my ear or whatever it is, and we go and try to get that fixed. A functional physician will say, okay, it's your sinuses in your ear, but what about your left elbow? And what about the toes in the middle of your foot? That everything is connected. And to be willing to ask those kinds of questions. And that's a very simple analogy, simple kind of analogy, but it's the connections of how do we get there. And all of that fits back into what we know as part of the Shackley philosophy, that we're all connected, that all these systems can contribute to each other. So anyway, that's just something that I'm late to the party on that. If I have information incorrect, I've been impressed with the material that we've gotten. I think it can be a very helpful prospecting and educational way to talk to people that are not necessarily Shackley people. But I find that when I say, is there anyone in your world that this can be helpful for, that it's not so much you, but is there anybody that you know? And virtually always someone will come to mind. Yes, my aunt's been, having an issue, or one of my kids or whatever. So that's one of the things that I invite us and encourage us to get plugged into and see whether you like the concept.
Carolyn, one thing I have found, I've been watching her since January or February and inviting people. And one of the interesting things, because I'll send out a blanket email to people in my organization or retail customers, or sometimes people who aren't involved at all yet. And I will ask, tell them that she's going to be available for this. And I do have some extra tickets that I have put aside. And if you're interested, get back to me and I will give you the information so I know who's interested. But what's been fascinating is that people have come out of the woodwork, people who buy once or twice a year, or people who haven't bought for even longer sometimes, or people who have been just marginally dipping their toes into Shaklee nutrition, particularly. And they have been there and they've been interested and they've asked questions, and it's bringing them back into the fold. And that's been kind of fun because it was people I would never, ever have guessed would respond to something like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's great to hear, Barb. And I think those are, as we expand our thinking and back to the very first beginning of the conversation tonight, is the importance of that personal relationship. That
Right.
these are people that we have some kind of contact with. If you're willing to make the referral and they're willing to stay at home and look at something, if that gives something of interest, then it gives us someone to reconnect with. And I think that's the purpose, is that here is someone who can be speaking about preventive health care in a natural way, or however you want to say it. But I think that this is obviously when you start having 800, 900 people on calls, and that will, I know, continue to grow, then I think that just says something about the desire of all of us to do a good job of educating ourselves and our customers. And that I think it's a hidden way, maybe a secret way that people haven't yet plugged into, to really begin to have a comfortable way to connect with people. Is this something, or is there anyone in your world that this could be helpful for?
And I like that Tanya herself says that when you do the inviting, tell them that you have purchased and gotten some tickets available and you'd like to gift them one,
Mm-hmm.
because that's even that much more inviting to them, I do think.
Right.
And then, of course, one of the things we're starting to do too is then once people come on, giving them an incentive to bring other people on. So
Yep. Tell me how you're doing that.
well, actually, just by asking them if they have people that they would like to invite, because if you do, we have a gift for you.
Okay. Nice. Nice. And that may be a place that actually gifting something
Right,
might be a plus.
right,
Because you put a gift in their Shackley account, they can't get it unless they order something.
right.
So
Or a D3 or herbal blend, lots of
whatever
choices.
seems appropriate. So great. Well, I know there are lots more things we can talk about, but I want to thank Alan and Hannah. And are there any questions or comments or insights that any of you would like to add? I wanted to be able to just do some bits and pieces like this on our call tonight and see if this helps to answer some questions for people, give you some ideas on things that we can be doing.
Yeah, Carolyn, I have a question. It's Dean.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can hear me? Okay.
Yeah.
Actually, not a question. It's a comment about Dr. Hardig. For those of you that haven't been on her calls, on her leader call, she does specifically mention the Shackley products that she recommends. But on her general call for people that then you invite, she does not mention Shackley at all, nor does she want Shackley mentioned in any of the comments, so that she can always remain compliant with it. But also, it gives us a chance then to follow up with the people that we've invited onto the call and talk specifically about which of the Shackley products match up with the things that she is recommending that people look at in their supplements.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. Excellent, Dean. Thank you. Yep. Any other comments or insights or anything? All right,
I just think, Carolyn, from a business standpoint, if you bring people to listen to Dr. Hardig, she is so good. She's so knowledgeable. I can see why somebody would say, "Well, she's got to be a doctor." No, but how could she answer these kind of questions that she answers? I mean, she is so knowledgeable, and you bring people to listen to her, and it's going to up your PV. I mean, it just is. It's really great that we can invite people for free, give them our well, for free, give them our tickets, whatever, to get them there, because that's going to help all of us from a business standpoint, because our PV is going to grow because of it, and we really appreciate what she's doing for the field right now.
Yep.
I have a
Great. Thanks,
clarifying
Greg.
question. She has 2 calls a month, you're saying? She has a leadership call and a general call?
Okay, I'll give you a little background. I didn't want to bog us down with this, but the public call that she does this time is, I think, the 26th. It's a Thursday. And that's a public call for which you need an invitation. You need an invitation from someone who is a business leader or has chosen to come to the call 1 week before, where she goes over the topics, goes into more details, and for those leaders, they make a commitment to invest $50 to pay her for the privilege of having tickets that we can give out to our people. And I don't resent that. I find it's very valuable, but I don't ask other people to do that if that's not where they are in the business. If we're business leaders, I think it's an appropriate thing to do and to support what she's doing. And then in addition to that, what we can then do is say, we, have tickets that we can offer. But very soon after, when your guest registers, gets your invitation and goes to register for the call, they give your name. And following the call, you will get a report of all the people that you've invited that came to the call. So now you know who you can follow through with. You know who came. They're all connected to someone who had the privilege of purchasing the tickets. So does that make sense? And I know some of you are not necessarily business leaders. I don't want anybody to feel they have to do something. Make sure you go talk to, whoever you're working with. But that's how the distinction is, Sarah. And, if any of us can help you with that, we're happy to.
I would love it. I would really love to learn more. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
One thing that's really valuable, when Carolyn, as you said, they should put your name down. There are times that people don't. And those people just go floating out there. So you suddenly see your list and those people are not there. So make sure you give a reminder that when they ask who invited you, to put your business leader's name down.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay.
So does everybody feel like they got some ideas, just some things to do?
Mhm.
Absolutely.
Last thing to remember is that once a month, some of your team do what we call Solid Start. And that is generally a 3-part group of presentations that are done by a number of us that are really designed to be a sort of bigger picture overview, communications, introduction to some of the business ideas, introduction to money, how the money works. And that call is once a month and does require registration, but there is no fee. The next one is the 24th of June. And I believe that if you don't get that directly from your leader, I think you can go to MC Mentors and there will be the information on that. So I invite all of us who invested enough time tonight in being together that hopefully these are resources that are helpful for you. So I'm gonna let Alan close this off for us.
Okay, so the one idea I want to pass out to you at the global conference next week, OPA dollars, thousands of dollars are going to be given out. Next year at the 70th, would any of you like to get some OPA dollars given to you there? What you need to do then is when the new rules come out, read them immediately, set your goals on the sheets that are there, and start working on it then. Don't wait till May of next year when it's, not much time. You have the whole year to get some really nice OPA dollars. So thank you all for attending tonight. I thought this was terrific. Cal, you did a great job. The folks who spoke up, thank you for your wonderful, timely, important, and valuable comments. And if we're lucky enough to see you all next week, terrific. If we're not, let's hope we hear that you were on virtual. And if not, have a great week. Enjoy the programs. Be well, everybody.
Night, everyone.
Thank you.